Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan. The topic of this 10-minute moan is Andrew Bridgen's claims that Manchester Airport is seeing refugees flying from Syria and Gaza under cover of darkness, been given a different route into the country through passport control, etc., from normal travellers, and that some external, unusual contractors are being used to facilitate their arrival. Now, until this point, Andrew's not given us any evidence of this. It's a story. However, he does claim that there will be more to come next week. Now, this is interesting to me for one simple reason, and I will show you Andrew's video in a minute or two. But I travelled to Dover in the summer, and it became apparent to me that the number that our government purports as irregular arrivals is only through one port of call, and that is the ones that we pick up in the sea and bring in with our own border force through the small boats. I looked to my left while standing on the cliffs of Dover and saw ferries running 3 an hour. I thought, well, we've not counted any stowaways, because remember the stowaways was all we spoke about pre-COVID, and we kind of don't speak about them. And I had just came from Bath the night before, where locals there had told me that it is not unusual for people to arrive on beaches in the cover of darkness. So we're not counting even all the people that arrive in Dover, because we're only counting the ones that come brought in from our own border force. And it set me thinking, what is the real number of illegal immigration? Because I know some people are telling me they seem gaslit by our government and claim illegal immigration is not that big a problem because there was like 500 one day and there was none for a week. However, that is not and never has been the full picture. That is only the ones that we pick up through our own border force. There are illegal immigrants arriving by many other means, and Andrew Bridgen may or may not have uncovered another one. So I'm going to play his video. It's a minute long, and then we'll discuss what he says.
What I can share with you as well is I got some information yesterday, which I'll be putting out next week, and I'm just going to. But the Manchester Airport in the north of England been having chartered flights in from Syria and Gaza every night. They've been coming in secretly, so it's about 500 being flown in a night, not going through normal passport control, obviously. And indeed, the ground services, they used a special contractor to keep that away from, Service Air and Menzies and all the rest of them that normally do that. That's just come to me only yesterday. So they've probably slipped in and had been every night, several flights for the last 3 weeks. So you're probably talking about another 6,000 or 7,000 undocumented migrants coming into the country, which no one's talking about in the media over here. It's never been mentioned, and the government aren't talking about it either, but they're doing it.
So some big claims. Now, the only thing that I find a bit peculiar with the claim is the claim that any flights are arriving from Gaza. I'm unsure how that would be possible. I don't know if there is any airport in Gaza or how people from Gaza would get out to access an airport. But you could mean people from Gaza. But again, how they would get here and get out of Gaza to get to an international airport is difficult for me to comprehend. So I'm not saying far from saying Andrew's claims are inaccurate. They might just be slightly wrong. There may be people arriving, but that one point I thought was a bit strange. But I would really, really like to know what he's going to put out next week and what evidence he's got to back up these claims. He's obviously been given some intelligence from someone. What that intelligence is, I would love to know. I would love to dissect that, because although I do not disbelieve any claims such as these, I would always want to have them backed up and at least look at how they could be inaccurate. I think that's prudent to do. But I will repeat, I don't for 1 minute think the figures that we're told and gaslit to believe are the full figures for illegal immigration. And I based that on my own eyes, because I have been to Dover, I have been to Calais, and I have even ventured alone to Lesbos, which is one of the main gateways into the EU for illegal immigrants who then end up, quite a lot of them, on the north of France and come into the United Kingdom. I've had intelligence from mainstream reporter who's not long back from France to declare that the information I gave out about how big a problem it was in Calais was actually not inaccurate. It was accurate at the time, but has now been extended. And that information was information given to me by local French police when I asked them where I would most likely see dinghies take to the water, and they told me all the way from, I think it's called Boulogne-Le-Sur, or Le-Sur-Boulogne, all the way up to Dunkirk. That is about 45, 50 miles of coast. I'll give you some indication as to the severity of the problem that's going on coming into the south of England. However, this respected national journalist advised me that after a recent trip to France, the problem has actually moved further south. So we have what's happening now is almost a franchise type thing where they're setting up more routes and just moving further down the coast so that they can get more businesses involved in bringing people across the channel. Not all of these are getting picked up by our own border force, and some of them are actually making it onto the beaches of the south of England, where local residents have, as I said earlier, reported to me that they sometimes get up in the morning, walk out their door, and there's dinghies on the beach. We are only getting told about the ones our border force pick up during hours of daylight. So what is the true picture? Now, I have no idea. The only thing I can factually tell you is the number that we're getting reported by Tory and Labour governments each night, because they do give us figures every day of the irregular arrivals, as they term them. And they're not true. Also, when I went to Lesbos, I uncovered some other things that people need to know. These people, when they arrive in the likes of Lesbos, they're the Greek islands. Some of them come into Lampedusa, which is an Italian island. Some come through the Spanish Balearics and even the Canary Islands. Once their asylum is granted, they're given a refugee travel papers, which allow them to travel through the Schengen area and come to the north coast of France if they so wish. Then they come in a dinghy, we pick them up, and what do? We put them through the asylum process. People need to understand that we are being gaslighted by our government and our media and the establishment because this is illegal. Because international law quite clearly states, although there is no responsibility to claim asylum in the first safe haven, in the first safe country you arrive in, but once you do claim asylum, you can only claim asylum in one country. We are allowing this to happen when we simply don't have to. Because if you've claimed asylum in another third-party country, that should prevent you from claiming asylum in our country. That's what international law says. So don't be gaslit, don't accept the lies, the narrative being driven by many, the establishment, the media, our government, and even some of the most ridiculous far-left organisations out there. They are gaslighting you. Stop listening. It is very, very simple. Now, if you want others to see this video, you can do three things. Hit the like button, hit share and share it through WhatsApp groups or other social medias, and comment below. That'll help drive the algorithm, and YouTube should put the video in front of more people. If you've not already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit the notification bell if you want YouTube to send you a notification whenever I put a new video out. However, despite all that, the most important thing, unless you are someone who comes here to claim asylum for the second time and simply break the law to take benefit of the generosity of our country, or you are the numerous amount of people who help facilitate this and gaslight the population while doing it, then not you. But everyone else, have a great day. Cheery bye now.